Among the many ghosts of the Irish countryside, you'll find a man holding what appears to be a lantern. Sometimes he may appear faint, and others he will be clearer, the lantern brighter, eerie indeed. Happy Halloween, my friends. Tonight we're going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to the ghostly heart of my inner child. It is the old jack-o'-lantern. And what a perfect time to do so on this strange October evening. Just the wind. When you see a jack-o'-lantern, and I mean a really good-sized, well-carved, glowing pumpkin, it captures wonder, eeriness, and a jolly festive time. What a brilliant carved creation, you may say to your smiling self. It is simple and yet spectacular. You feel the effort and the artistry, and I'm sure you know by now that they didn't start out as pumpkins. No, they were carved in little turnips and rutabagas. Yes, indeed. And they're creepy little devils. Incredible that the inside of the pumpkin should be orange. It makes for the color of a roaring fire from within when its inner candles are lighted. Incredible and simple. It is so simple, in fact, that it makes you wonder here and there, where did the jack-o'-lantern come from? Well, that question is answered in a great piece of Irish legend. It was a legend passed down the generations. Among the many ghosts of the Irish countryside, you'll find a man holding what appears to be a lantern. Sometimes he may appear faint, and others he will be clearer, the lantern brighter, eerie indeed. And the nearby villagers will be heard alerting others in the countryside. "Hey, there's old Jack o' the lantern!" And the other clamoring villagers running up over the hillside, if they are lucky, will glimpse at the man whose legend far outgrew his character. For he is now known as Stingy Jack, the Irish man of vice who tricked the devil not once, but twice. He appears most often, it is said, during the thinning of the veil between the worlds during Samhain, and to honor his haunting spirit, the Irish children carved turnips and rutabagas with faces that glow eerily from the candles placed inside them. Sound familiar? And it was during the great Irish migration to the United States that the children searched, quite homesick, for a way to continue this custom. Alas, there weren't many turnips nor rutabagas to be found, but there were many a giant gourd. Enter the pumpkin. Just imagine what it must have been like to have been the first among them to take a whole giant of a pumpkin and begin the jack-o'-lantern experiment, previously only practiced in the rutabaga or the turnip. And when those root vegetables are carved, they look more shriveled and fleshy, small and creepy. I'll grant them that. Not so with a pumpkin. There is a sense of grand, vibrant fun there. It is not hard to see why the custom caught on so quickly. So there you have it. It started with a little legend of a man named Jack carrying a lantern, and now you have the people who tell the story coming stateside and making jack-o'-lanterns. And there is the story of where jack-o'-lanterns came from. Interesting, eh? What's that? Stingy Jack. Oh, him. Well, Yes, there's more to him, as a matter of fact. Well, of course there is. What? Why did they call him Stingy Jack? Oh, well, that's a whole nother story. It's really... Well, I suppose if you wanted me to go into it, I suppose I could, but you best fix a coffee on the stove there. And when it's good and ready, what do you say we pour it and maybe you pour a little something extra in that coffee. I'll tell you the legend. The true-to-life legend, just the way it was told to me. Mind you, we might need a stopping place, though. So, here's the tale of Stingy Jack, the Irish man of vice who tricked the devil not once, but twice. So let's tell the story. Part the first. Jack loved being in a world of people. I don't mean this in the airy-fairy way like he loved people. He loved people. I think it was the opposite of that, I do. No, unfortunately, Jack's was an existence that bred a great hatred for his ways from everybody who met him. He was what you might call a tight-fisted money squeeze-it, or simply put, a miser. And I don't care how many of those you met, they would all be better and more benevolent than old Stingy Jack. The man not only knew how to hold on to his silver and gold, he knew how to stone-cold cheat you out of your cut too. Did he do favors? No. And anything that called for repayment by him, he couldn't be bothered. Actually, he was always being bothered by the poor. You know how the less fortunate are, always thinking that they can go to the upper echelons asking for donations. Only the truly destitute ventured to tug on his linen sleeve to ask for a pittance. You might think, well, to those poor buggers who were dealt a less than kind hand by the Almighty, old Jack would at last be less stingy. Well, I'm sorry to say, even they have no such luck. Well, there's even a story of a man pulled at Jack's worn old frock a bit more rough than usual, and Jack turned around in a rage and pushed him. Well, so bad the poor man hit his head hard enough to take a nap for an hour or so. When he woke up, he immediately began coughing and choking on the blood in his throat. Blood in my throat, he thought, with a start. He sat bolt upright, coughing out his red fluid, and soon realized something more disturbing. Someone had dragged him into a nearby alley, and likely this same someone had also helped themselves to his gold tooth, pulled it right out of his tender gums. Everyone in town deduced the same culprit. You guessed it. It was obvious. Old Stingy Jack it was, muttered the people to one another. The real question was who else could have possibly done it. It was the old money squeeze-it. It had to be. But no one could be sure it was him, because Jack was a slippery scoundrel. He had the presence of mind to sell the golden tooth to a shop about 8 towns away. Despite his miserly ways, he was not above buying himself an ale or whiskey. He could have a good time, and he even relished outsmarting the ladies of the night for their services. I tell you, Jack had no shame when it came to making or saving up some extra sterling at the expense of others. Indeed, I'd say there was a reason he looked to stay in a province that hated him so. He lived off of other people. He swindled all of them smoothly. Certainly in such a tormented Irish town, the Almighty was looking down with frustration that this scoundrel was still there making a mockery of his pious people. Spake the Almighty, "Oh, if only my people were a little less sweet. Bah, I have done too good with them, and he knows it." The Irish said that when there was a storm, it was the good Lord's anger at what had been recently done on earth. It was a town custom to then ask and gossip as to what Stingy Jack had been up to lately to bring down such a storm. A case could be made that there was a causal relation, but it was also hard to say because, well, Jack was always up to something bad. He was always swindling a new victim or repeating a scheme on a past quarry. The last thing I'd say in this dastardly introduction of our fiendish hero is that even his poor mother had no headstone, only some two-stick crucifix which her old friend had staked upon her grave. Not even Jack put it there. Oh, heaven help him, Jack couldn't be bothered for it. So all this to say, Jack was the worst of them. But you know, there was one who did like and admire him despite all the pride filling up Jack's dark heart. Obviously, this other was Satan himself. Yes, of course it was Satan. Lucifer the Lightbringer watched him with equal parts entertainment and a sadistic craving to drag him at last to hell someday, because those are the two thoughts Satan has about any evildoer, because that's just how bad he is. And sure enough, the day came soon. Jack could afford any doctor. The problem was the doctors grew tired of treating him, or they tried to get out of treating him. As you can imagine, if you're as averse to paying for medical treatment to hear a doctor say, "Oh, it's nothing, just get more sleep," or "Have more tea," or "You just need more exercise, my friend," well, you may as well just stay on your merry way, destructive habits too, right? So, you can see where Stingy Jack was coming from. Doctors, they could go to hell where he was concerned. As the years went on of Jack living the life of a man who just needs to get out more, he gradually began to grow weak. There was no woman to take care of him, and he fell ill, deathly ill, lying there on his last bed, what he wouldn't give for another drink at his favorite pub. Just one last time. And then he heard a voice. "Well, I think you've earned such a drink, friend." The voice startled him. Jack blinked his eyes open, searching in the blurred vision of his dying life. Two things in that sentence startled him, as he never thought he'd hear them addressed to him in his lifetime. One was the idea, nay, the strange notion that someone would ever think that he had earned anything. True, he believed he had earned a lot, but he didn't expect anyone else to admit that. The other strange notion was that the speaker called him friend. What in the blazes? He knew that couldn't be right. He was friends with no one at all. So how was it that here, on his deathbed, he had someone calling him such a creature as a friend? Well, as the vision cleared, there was a figure, sure enough, sitting at his side. He was clad in a robe of crimsons and maroons and burgundy. He could make out a face, and now the vision was rapidly adjusting. Jack saw the dark and pointed beard and sly look in the eye, matching with a faint smirk. He recognized him immediately. It was unmistakable. Satan, accuser of God, had come to visit him. You see, back then, we knew how to spot Satan. Those were the days. Nowadays, he looks like a late-night talk show host, if he doesn't look like a pop singer. No man could wish this moment, and so too did Jack move to ignore it. His eyes darted desperately to the ground, but oh, the sight that waited for him made him gasp in terror. If only he saw boots down there, beneath those robes. Alas, no boots, nor shoes, nor even feet, beautiful human feet. No, he didn't see any of those. Only two large, dark, cloven hooves, turning up into black fur to match the black of the beard. "Hello, Jack," came the gritty, smiling voice of hell. Or should I say Stingy Jack? This turned Jack's blood cold. You can imagine how terrified Jack was. There was no running away this time. Satan continued, "It seems that you have finally reached your end. The curtain is about to fall upon your wicked life." Well, Stingy Jack was done in for sure. But he had a scheme up his sleeve, and being an Irishman, it likely involved some drinking. Which I need right now. He looked back to the smiling fiend and said, "Hey, Lucifer, is it? The light bringer?" And to this, old Satan's face softened a bit. No one called him that name in a very long time, if you follow me. He had to admit, Jack was a charmer. And Jack, while horrible to the townsfolk, he was a bit entertaining in a most hellish way. He was quite a devil, too. Yes, Satan had been fond of Stingy Jack, so Satan responded with a kindness back to him. "Yes, Jack, that is me, though it's not how I usually sign my name these days. But thank you for saying it. I'm sure you are angling to beg your way out of destiny. I will spare you the humiliation. There is no way. Oh, Mr. Lucifer, Lightbringer, my lord. But I wasn't going to try anything of the sort. I was only looking to ask for that last drink in my favorite pub," said Stingy Jack with an earnest voice. Now Satan thought a moment. It was a small favor, small enough where Satan wouldn't be bothered to attach a tricky price on it. It was that small. Why the hell not, he thought. After all, he'd watched old Jack enjoying a deviant life there many nights. And why not join him there tonight, one last time? After all, they'd be two devils in the pub. Picture, if you will, a cozy public house warmed by candles and merriment like some oasis of gold glowing in a dark and cold winter's eve. The chatter and song and cheers and laughter about, fitting for a man's final night in a public house. And there at the bar laugh two men, both equally and strangely at home in themselves here. Well, of course I had to toast an awful life of scheming and trickery such as yours, my friend. I had to raise a glass with you here, Stingy Jack, explained the Dark Lord as they clinked 2 half-pints of beer each and whiskey shooters for good measure. And to this, Jack joined him in mischievous laughter. The music pervaded the world. I feel sorry for Jack in all this. Everything that makes for a good and jolly atmosphere in a party was becoming unbearably sweet to him. The singing, the ladies dancing atop the bar, the sounds of drunkards brawling outside, accompanied by egging on and cheering that rose and fell with the sounds of a punch being thrown, the sounds of hoots and celebrations when a glass is broken, the magic of the candles gentle flickering upon their tremoring wood chandeliers above, the sloppy one-night standers merging into strange and disorderly kisses, and the lovely barmaids flirting, laughing, attending to the patrons. Jack loved it all, and soon he was going to lose it all for eternity. And he knew this so well that every minute approaching this moment would feel more and more unbearable to him. Poor Jack. Poor bastard. The fiend looked at Jack and began to grin quietly. It was a delicious, good moment to break the bad tidings to poor Jack, and now Satan indulged himself by doing just that. Now, I'm about to get to the stopping place, but before I do, the devil says to him, "Well, Jack, I think it's about time we settle the tab." "And you're dead." Jack stifled a shudder. He had to think quickly. Damn that old Lucifer. He observed Satan going into his pocket to fish out a payment. Wait, his blue eyes twinkled. Jack thought to himself, pay the tab. Of course. So now I think we've reached a good stopping place, I do. For Stingy Jack may have a plan. He does have a plan, and I will tell it to you soon enough. I just need a little more time to do that, and we're about short here. Don't worry, dear friend. We'll be catching back up to Stingy Jack and old Satan in no time at all. I will be seeing you sooner than you think. Stay tuned. Sláinte. That's the good stuff right there. I just love this time of year, I do.